Oh, g'day, people. It's Chris John again, posting another video of knowledge, my knowledge, sharing it with the world on YouTube. Today, I've been thinking about the fundamental principles that drive conflict and fights in the world amongst groups of humans or nations going to war. Now, history has a long procession of wars and fighting between tribes or nation states or groups of identities or ideologies that share the same beliefs and go against other so-called perceived enemies of the state that they're in against one another. Now, history often repeats itself, you see, and the fundamentals of human nature, I think we're just on the wrong side of sentience and kindness, being sentient beings. Fundamentally, we are all prone, as humans, we're susceptible and prone to small or big levels of propaganda and misinformation, disinformation. And it's shared a lot around the world these days with the internet and social media, so it's more frequent and more prevalent and more in your face. Now, we can't know what's going on, for example, in the Middle East in the current Israeli-Gaza war. We see reports on the news via video, TV and audio of reports of the suffering and war crimes and absolute atrocities of evil that have been created by human beings. We are all human beings, and to morally and ethically justify it, it's obviously evil and wrong. But to just think about it in a moral and ethical way of an outsider or person involved, to think about these things is absolutely shocking if one really thinks about it deeply. I mean, as I said, we're all prone and susceptible and vulnerable to propaganda as well, and misinformation, disinformation. And we all consume and we all seem to want to care about what's going on in the world, in our neighbourhood, in our backyard, wherever it is. And reciprocal kindness is an important part of human nature. And also the moral and ethical virtues of redemption. We all want redemption in our lives at various points to get a second chance. And we all practice our beliefs and faiths, and whether secular or not. And we all owe allegiance to some, whether it's fellow people, love of animals, pets, family, or some heroes that we might have, the leaders in the world. We all owe allegiance to some part of life that provides love and care, as opposed to barbaric violence and hate. So we all sort of serve each other, try to anyway, as best we can, economically, financially, materially, emotionally, friendship-wise, family, working for our families to earn money, for our children, sending them to good schools. And part of the journey of human nature is to be educated. And a good education can often be the line drawn in the sand between becoming a criminal or drug addict when children grow up, or the opposite of becoming well-adjusted business people or students or leaders or just people with knowledge of history and intellectual pursuits. So whatever it is that we do, we all should value our education deeply, and if it's the right sort of education, which in the Western world of secularism is very good these days, to bring our young people up with ideas of like prosperity, wealth, kindness, sharing knowledge, studying history, that sort of stuff. So a good education is to be valued, and this education system has been around hundreds of years, but if you think, and that provides good citizenship, the good education, and if you think about it, it's only been around for a few hundred years, education systems that are widely available to anyone in the public. But I mean, even 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, they would have, for thousands of years, human nature has been so barbaric and sort of wrong on a moral and ethical standpoint. We've fought wars with swords and axes and shields for millennia. We've gone to war because of our mythological spiritual beliefs thousands of years ago, just on a hunch that someone's a witch, so they persecute the witch, for example, and examples like this, like we follow our gods to war for thousands of years, but these days, as citizens, I think they're a bit objectified in terms of war, not subjective. We all say, "Oh, that's shocking, the wars in the Middle East, Africa, whatever," and we all separate ourselves from that, sort of saying that it's quite evil and wrong, but we can't do anything about it. So we all know that obviously state actors like the deep state control and run these wars and make the soldiers of countries go to war, but they're the ones making decisions who are in charge, like high-level government, blah blah blah. We don't have much power to rebel against this, do we? But really, against it's a lot of corruption and wrongdoings for the military-industrial complex, for example. But that's just part of human nature, I guess. And if anyone's seen the movie Apocalypse Now, there's a quote at the end. It's obviously the movie's about the Vietnam War. A quote at the end when Martin Sheen is sent to kill or the actor, soldier, I don't know who his name is, the soldier who's sent to kill Marlon Brando's character, who's leading a cult outside of Vietnam in Cambodia or something, and it's a very brutal cult with violence apparently. The soldier meets with Marlon Brando, and Marlon Brando imprisons him and explains his theory on existence and life and the moral ethical dilemma of how brutal and harsh human nature can be. He says, quote, "It's like a snail crawling across a knife's edge as such," unquote. So that's kind of like how painful our history and past atrocities can feel like. Even to this generation, we are very vulnerable still to this pain that we all feel of human nature, such as vengeance and death and sickness and old age and violence, whether it be domestic violence or cultural, ethnic racism, or the wars recently in our recent past, like World War One and Two, where just absolutely horrific numbers of people were died for in the name of what? Really, when you think about it, in the name of what were they? What were they killed in the name of what for? These soldiers, just for the higher power of the governments and economics and making the rich rich and the poor poorer, maybe. If we take in these factors about human nature, there can be a very grim doom and gloom view of the world and our fellow humans. But as I said, I think redemption is a higher quality and a higher virtue that trumps and wins against vengeance. So redemption is an important one to note in human nature. The word redemption meaning second chances and stuff, and doing good after a bad thing that started a situation. So thank you folks for letting me speak and teaching me, the people in my community, and I'd like to finish this. Please view this video, enjoy it, and like and subscribe to my channel, Chris John. The handle is @peace-universal. Thank you, and also call out to my brother Jake, Jack the Gypsy Poet. That's the handle, I think. So get onto that channel on YouTube. So thank you, people. Au revoir, c'est la vie. Bye. Bye.